Someone is choosing you every day, and they might not even have the words to explain why. It's not because you are perfect, or because you never make mistakes, or because you always know the right thing to say. It's because, somewhere along the way, you taught them what safety feels like. Not the loud kind of safety that announces itself. Not the dramatic, heroic kind. But the quiet, steady, deeply human kind that settles into the body and whispers, "You can rest here." In a world that often feels sharp at the edges, safety is rare. Most people grow up learning how to brace themselves. They learn to read rooms before they enter them, to measure their words, to prepare for disappointment, judgment, or abandonment. They learn that love can be conditional, that care can be withdrawn, that closeness can turn into control. So when someone comes along who does not demand armor, who does not punish vulnerability, who does not disappear when things get complicated, it changes something fundamental inside them. They might not say it out loud, but their nervous system notices. Their shoulders drop when you walk into the room. Their breathing becomes slower, deeper. They don't have to rehearse conversations in their head before speaking to you. They don't have to perform a version of themselves that is more palatable, more impressive, or more acceptable. With you, they are allowed to be unfinished. They are allowed to be quiet. They are allowed to be confused. And that permission is powerful. Safety is not about never being hurt. It's about knowing that hurt will not be weaponized. It's about trusting that conflict does not equal catastrophe. When you listen without interrupting, when you stay present even when the conversation is uncomfortable, when you apologize without defensiveness, you are teaching them that connection does not have to be fragile. You are showing them that relationships don't have to shatter at the first sign of tension. Maybe you don't even realize you're doing it. Maybe it shows up in small, almost invisible ways. The way you remember details that matter to them. The way you don't rush them when they're trying to explain something difficult. The way you don't mock their fears or minimize their pain. The way you give them space without making them feel abandoned. These things may seem ordinary to you, but to someone who has known chaos, they feel extraordinary. Someone is choosing you every day because with you, they don't feel like they have to earn love. They don't feel like affection is a reward that can be taken away. They don't feel like one wrong move will cost them everything. Instead, they feel steady ground beneath their feet. They feel a sense of predictability that doesn't suffocate, but supports. Safety is consistency. It's showing up in ways that align with your words. It's being emotionally available not just on good days, but on hard ones too. When you say you'll call and you do. When you say you care and your actions back it up. When you say I'm here and you don't disappear when things get messy. Over time, these moments stack up. They form a pattern. And that pattern tells a story. You are reliable. For someone who has been let down before, reliability can feel like love itself. It's not flashy, but it's deeply nourishing. It allows them to stop scanning for exits. It allows them to invest emotionally without constantly calculating the risk. It allows them to imagine a future without immediately imagining the loss that might follow. You might think they choose you because you're strong, or kind, or intelligent. And maybe that's part of it. But underneath all of that is this deeper truth: with you, they feel safe enough to be real. They feel safe enough to laugh without holding back, to cry without shame, to admit when they don't have it all figured out. They feel safe enough to let their guard down, and once that happens, something beautiful begins to grow. Safety creates space for growth. When someone is not constantly defending themselves, they can start exploring who they really are. They can start healing old wounds instead of reopening them. They can take risks, try new things, and stretch beyond their comfort zone, knowing they have a secure place to return to. By being a safe presence, you are not holding them back, you are giving them wings. This kind of connection doesn't demand perfection. In fact, it thrives on honesty. You don't have to be endlessly patient or endlessly calm. You just have to be willing to repair when things go wrong. To say, "I messed up, and I want to understand." To choose accountability over ego. To choose understanding over being right. Each time you do that, you reinforce the lesson: mistakes do not mean abandonment. Someone is choosing you every day because you don't make them feel small for having needs. You don't label them as too much for wanting reassurance, clarity, or closeness. You don't treat their emotions as inconveniences. Instead, you treat them as information. You respond with curiosity rather than criticism. And in doing so, you are teaching them that their inner world matters. Think about how rare that is. So many people are told, directly or indirectly, to toughen up, to stop feeling so deeply, to handle things on their own. When you offer empathy instead of dismissal, you are rewriting that narrative. You are saying, without grand speeches or dramatic gestures, you don't have to go through this alone. Safety also lives in the way you respect boundaries. You don't push when they say no. You don't guilt them into giving more than they have. You understand that closeness is not about control, but about mutual choice. This respect builds trust. It tells them that their autonomy is safe with you, that being close to you does not mean losing themselves, and because of that, they keep choosing you. Not out of obligation, fear, or habit, but out of genuine desire. They choose you in the small, everyday ways that matter most. They choose to text you first when something good or bad happens. They choose to share their thoughts with you instead of keeping them locked inside. They choose to invest their time, their energy, their heart. You might not see the full impact of what you offer. You might think you're just being yourself. But for someone who has lived in survival mode, your presence feels like permission to exhale. It feels like a reminder that not all connections are dangerous, that not all love comes with hidden costs. Safety is the foundation on which deeper love is built. Passion may ignite interest, attraction may spark connection, but safety is what allows it to last. Without it, relationships burn fast and collapse. With it, they deepen, mature, and transform. When someone feels safe with you, they are more willing to weather storms together. They are more willing to communicate, to compromise, to keep choosing the relationship even when it's not effortless. Someone is choosing you every day because you don't just hear them, you try to understand them. You ask questions not to interrogate, but to connect. You notice patterns in their moods and gently check in. You don't assume the worst when they pull back, you give them room and let them come to you when they're ready. This patience speaks volumes. Safety is also about emotional honesty. You don't play games. You don't keep people guessing where they stand. You are clear about your intentions, your feelings, your limits. That clarity removes anxiety. It replaces doubt with trust. It allows the other person to relax into the connection instead of constantly analyzing it. For many people, feeling safe is a new experience. It can be disorienting at first. They might test it, consciously or unconsciously. They might expect you to leave, to explode, to withdraw. When you don't, when you remain steady, it slowly rewires their expectations. It teaches them that consistency is possible, that care doesn't always come with strings attached. This doesn't mean the relationship is without challenges. Safety does not eliminate conflict or pain. What it does is change how those things are handled. Instead of turning against each other, you turn toward each other. Instead of silence or aggression, there is dialogue. Instead of blame, there is shared responsibility. Over time, this builds resilience. Someone is choosing you every day because with you, they can imagine a future that doesn't feel threatening. They can imagine building something together without constantly waiting for it to fall apart. They can imagine growing older, changing, evolving, and still being accepted. That sense of possibility is rooted in the safety you provide now. In the present, you may not always feel extraordinary. You may have days when you doubt your worth, when you feel like you're not doing enough. But remember this, making someone feel safe is not a small thing. It is one of the most profound gifts you can offer. It shapes how they see themselves, how they relate to others, how they move through the world. Safety is felt in the tone of your voice, the softness of your responses, the way you hold space without trying to fix everything. It's felt in the absence of fear, in the presence of acceptance. It's felt when someone can say, "This is who I am," and not worry about being rejected for it. Someone is choosing you every day because you have become a place they can return to. Not a place that traps them, but a place that welcomes them back, again and again. In a world that often demands hardness, you offer gentleness. In a world that rewards detachment, you offer presence. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: by teaching them what safety feels like, you are also changing what they will accept in the future. You are raising the standard for how they are treated, by you and by others. You are showing them that they deserve consistency, respect, and care. That lesson will stay with them, no matter what, so if someone is choosing you every day, don't underestimate the reason. It's not just love. It's not just attraction. It's the deep, embodied knowledge that with you, they are safer than they have been before. And once someone knows what that feels like, it's not something they give up easily. You taught them that safety is possible. You taught them that connection doesn't have to hurt. You taught them that they can be themselves and still be loved. And that is why, every single day, they choose you. They choose you in moments you don't see. In the pauses between thoughts, in the quiet comparisons their heart makes without their permission. When something goes wrong and their first instinct is not panic, but to reach for you. When they feel overwhelmed and instead of shutting down completely, they think, I can talk to them. That instinct is not accidental. It was learned. It was earned through 1,000 small interactions where you proved, again and again, that safety with you is not conditional. You taught them that closeness does not have to come at the cost of dignity. That being loved does not require shrinking, pleasing, or erasing parts of themselves. With you, they don't have to trade authenticity for affection. They don't have to soften their truth to keep the peace. And that changes how they show up, not just with you, but with the world. Someone is choosing you every day because you didn't rush their healing. You didn't demand that they be over it already. You understood that wounds don't close on a schedule, and that progress is not always linear. When they took 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you didn't roll your eyes or lose patience. You stayed. You adjusted. You reminded them, gently, that setbacks do not erase growth. That kind of patience is rare. It communicates something deeper than words ever could. You are not a burden here. Your process is allowed. Your timing is respected. And for someone who has felt like an inconvenience before, that message lands in the deepest places. They choose you because with you, silence is not a threat. Quiet moments are not loaded with tension or fear of being misunderstood. Silence can be rest, not rejection. It can be companionship without performance. You don't demand constant reassurance of affection. You allow space to breathe, to think, to simply exist. That freedom is part of what makes them feel close to you. Safety is also found in the way you respond to truth. When they share something vulnerable, something messy or unflattering, you don't recoil. You don't use it later as ammunition. You don't tell others. You hold it with care. Over time, this teaches them that honesty with you does not lead to punishment. It leads to understanding, and because of that, they trust you with parts of themselves they've hidden for a long time. fears they've never said out loud, dreams they're afraid to hope for, thoughts they've judged themselves for having. With you, these things don't feel shameful. They feel human. They feel allowed. Someone is choosing you every day because you are emotionally present. Not perfectly, not constantly, but genuinely. When you are there, you are really there. You listen with your full attention, not while waiting for your turn to speak. You notice shifts in their mood. You sense when something is off, even if they haven't named it yet. This attunement makes them feel seen, not scanned. Being seen in this way is deeply regulating. It tells their nervous system that they don't have to scream to be noticed, or disappear to stay safe. They can exist at a normal volume. They can take up space without fear. This is what emotional safety looks like in real life, not as an abstract concept, but as a lived experience. You don't mock their softness. You don't tell them they're weak for caring deeply. You don't shame them for being sensitive. Instead, you treat sensitivity as information, as depth, as something valuable. In doing so, you are helping them reclaim parts of themselves they may have learned to hide. Someone is choosing you every day because with you, love feels steady instead of volatile. There are no extreme highs followed by crushing lows designed to keep them hooked. There is no constant uncertainty meant to create dependency. What you offer is calm, and for someone who has lived in chaos, calm can feel like a miracle. At first, calm might have felt unfamiliar to them. They might have wondered if something was missing, if the absence of drama meant the absence of passion. But over time, their body learned the difference between excitement and anxiety. It learned that peace is not boring, it's nourishing. And once that lesson settles in, it's hard to unlearn. They choose you because you don't confuse intensity with intimacy. You understand that real closeness is built slowly, through trust and mutual care, not through emotional whiplash. You don't rush connection to feel important. You let it unfold at a pace that feels safe for both of you. Safety also lives in the way you handle their independence. You don't feel threatened by it. You don't interpret their need for alone time as rejection. You don't compete with their passions, their friendships, or their goals. You support a life that includes you, not a life that revolves around you. This allows them to choose you freely, not out of fear of losing you. Someone is choosing you every day because you don't try to fix them. You understand the difference between support and control. When they share a problem, you don't immediately jump into solutions unless they ask. Sometimes you simply sit with them in it. You validate their feelings before offering advice. This tells them that their emotions are not problems to be solved, but experiences to be honored. You taught them that love can be a place where emotions are welcomed, not managed away. That sadness doesn't make them less lovable. That anger can be expressed without destroying the relationship. That joy doesn't have to be dimmed to avoid envy or dismissal. With you, Emotions can move through instead of getting stuck. They choose you because you don't disappear emotionally when you're struggling yourself. You communicate. You let them know what's happening instead of shutting them out without explanation. This transparency reduces fear. It keeps their imagination from filling in the worst-case scenarios. It reassures them that distance does not automatically mean disconnection. Safety is built not by never needing space, but by explaining it with care. By saying, "I'm having a hard day, but I still care about you." That simple clarity can mean everything to someone who has been left guessing before. Someone is choosing you every day because you allow them to change. You don't lock them into an old version of themselves. You don't punish growth because it disrupts your comfort. You celebrate their evolution, even when it challenges the dynamic you once knew. This tells them that love with you is not stagnant. It can adapt. It can expand. You don't make them feel like they have to choose between who they are becoming and being loved. And that freedom creates loyalty not out of obligation, but out of gratitude. They choose you because your care does not feel performative. You don't show up only when there's an audience. You don't love loudly in public and quietly withdraw in private. Your kindness is consistent whether anyone is watching or not. This integrity builds trust at a level that words alone never could. Someone is choosing you every day because you respect their inner world. You don't invade it. You don't demand access to every thought or feeling. You understand that privacy and safety are not opposites. They coexist. Your respect makes them more willing to open up, not less. Safety is also present in the way you talk about others. You don't belittle people to bond. You don't use cruelty as humor. You don't tear others down to feel superior. This tells them something important about how you will treat them, even when they're not in the room. They choose you because you model emotional responsibility. You don't blame them for your feelings. You don't expect them to regulate your emotions for you. You take ownership of your reactions. This removes an invisible weight from their shoulders. It allows them to relax into the relationship without feeling responsible for your stability. Someone is choosing you every day because with you, love feels like partnership, not a test. They're not constantly trying to prove their worth. They're not walking on eggshells. They're not trying to anticipate your moods to stay safe. Instead, they are learning what it feels like to be met where they are, and this doesn't mean you never hurt each other. It means that when hurt happens, repair is possible. You don't avoid difficult conversations. You approach them with care. You listen. You reflect. You apologize when needed. Each repair strengthens the bond rather than weakening it. They choose you because you make room for their humanity. The messy parts. The contradictions. The days when they're not their best self. You don't withdraw love as a form of punishment. You don't keep score. You understand that being human is not a flaw to be corrected. Someone is choosing you every day because you have become a reference point. When they encounter new people, new situations, new relationships, their body remembers you. It remembers how safety feels. And that memory guides their choices. It helps them recognize what aligns and what doesn't. You may never fully grasp how deeply this matters. But in a world where so many connections are built on fear, control, or convenience, you are offering something different. You are offering a place where someone can land without bracing for impact, and that is why they keep choosing you. Not because they are dependent, but because they are grounded. Not because they are afraid to leave, but because they feel free to stay. Not because you are perfect, but because you are safe. You taught them, through your presence, your consistency, your care, that love does not have to hurt to be real. And once someone learns that lesson, it becomes a compass they follow every day, back to you. They will keep choosing you even on the days when love feels quiet. Even when there are no grand gestures, no dramatic confessions, no perfectly timed words. Because what you've given them is not a feeling that depends on excitement. It's a foundation. And foundations don't shout. They hold. Someone is choosing you every day because with you, their nervous system has learned a new rhythm. One that doesn't revolve around anticipation of loss. One that doesn't spike at every pause or shift in tone. One that knows how to settle. That kind of safety changes how a person experiences the world. It softens their edges. It gives them more patience, more hope, more capacity for joy. You might think you're only impacting one relationship, but the ripple goes much further than that. They choose you because you didn't turn their vulnerability into leverage. When they showed you their softest places, you didn't step on them. You protected them. You treated their trust as something sacred, not something to exploit when you were angry or afraid. That restraint, that care, told them something essential. With you, intimacy does not become a weapon. Someone is choosing you every day because you don't require them to be in survival mode. With you, they don't have to constantly scan for emotional danger. They don't have to guess what version of you they're going to get. Your emotional presence is not a moving target. It's steady enough that they can relax into themselves instead of bracing against you. They choose you because you understand that love is not proven through suffering. You don't romanticize pain or call it depth. You don't believe that jealousy is devotion or that control is care. You understand that the truest form of love is the one that allows both people to feel safe, whole, and respected. That understanding shapes everything you do. Even when you're not trying, someone is choosing you every day because you gave them a new internal reference. Before you, they might have believed that love always comes with anxiety, that closeness always costs something, that being seen is dangerous. With you, those beliefs began to loosen. Slowly, gently, they were replaced with something healthier. The belief that connection can be calm, that honesty can be met with kindness, that staying does not have to hurt. They choose you because you don't disappear when reality sets in. When the novelty fades and life becomes ordinary again, you're still there. You don't lose interest when things become routine. You find meaning in the everyday. Shared meals. Simple conversations. Quiet companionship. This constancy tells them that they are not only lovable when things are exciting or easy. Someone is choosing you every day because you know how to love without ownership. You don't treat them as something to be possessed. You don't confuse closeness with entitlement. You love them as a person, not as an extension of yourself. This gives them room to breathe, to grow, to be fully themselves. And paradoxically, that freedom is what keeps them close. They choose you because you respond to their pain with compassion, not comparison. You don't minimize what they're going through by pointing to someone else who has it worse. You meet them where they are. You validate their experience without judgment. This teaches them that their pain does not need to be justified to be cared for. Someone is choosing you every day because you don't make love feel like a performance review. They're not constantly being evaluated, corrected, or measured against an invisible standard. With you, they are not in competition with an idealized version of themselves. They are accepted as they are, in this moment. That acceptance is deeply liberating. They choose you because you know how to hold space for discomfort without trying to escape it. When conversations get heavy, you don't shut down or deflect with humor. You stay present. You allow things to be unresolved for a moment if that's what honesty requires. This teaches them that discomfort does not mean danger, and that staying engaged is safer than running away. Someone is choosing you every day because you allow love to be mutual. You don't drain them to fill yourself. You give and receive. You lean on each other in turn. This balance prevents resentment. It keeps the connection alive and nourishing for both of you. They choose you because your care has continuity. It doesn't reset after arguments. It doesn't vanish after disappointment. Even when you're hurt, you don't become cruel. Even when you're tired, you don't become dismissive. This continuity builds a sense of emotional permanence, the feeling that the bond itself is not always at risk. Someone is choosing you every day because you understand that safety is not built once, but maintained. You don't assume trust will take care of itself. You tend to it. You check in. You notice when something shifts. You address issues before they become wounds. This attentiveness makes them feel valued, not taken for granted. They choose you because you don't treat love as something to win or lose. You treat it as something to care for. Something living. Something that requires patience, humility, and effort. This mindset creates stability. It reassures them that they are not on trial. Someone is choosing you every day because you have shown them that it is possible to be deeply connected without being afraid. That it is possible to love without losing yourself. that it is possible to stay without being trapped. These are not small lessons. They are life-changing, and even if they never say it, even if they can't articulate it, their choice speaks for itself. Every time they stay. Every time they return. Every time they reach for you instead of retreating into old patterns. That is the language of safety, so when you wonder why someone keeps choosing you, especially on ordinary days, remember this. You didn't just offer affection. You offered refuge. You offered steadiness. You offered a place where they could finally stop holding their breath. You taught them what safety feels like. And once someone knows that feeling, once it lives in their body and not just in their mind, it becomes something they protect. Something they return to. Something they choose every single day.